So, apparently Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same.
Went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like, I guess, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is... And Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
Joe Rogan was going about business as usual when The View crossed a line it couldn't walk back. What started as a cheap daytime jab turned into a full-scale media collision that rattled daytime television. The moment came when Joy Behar smirked on national TV and waved Rogan off with open contempt. "Trust us," she sneered. "We're backed by ABC News." Then came the punchline Rogan, the so-called dragon believer. The audience laughed. Panel moved on. But behind the scenes, the clock had already started ticking. Rogan didn't rage online. No passive-aggressive tweets. No outrage theatrics. He skipped the noise and went straight to the only arena that actually matters, the courtroom. A $100 million defamation lawsuit landed like a wrecking ball, replacing punchlines with subpoenas. This wasn't symbolic. It wasn't a bluff. It was calculated, evidence-heavy, and aimed directly at The View, accusing the show of reckless, defamatory broadcasting.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal
I don't know. Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife about, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
wait.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant.
If you like that takedown, don't forget to hit subscribe. Suddenly, nothing sounded casual anymore. Every sentence spoken on that set felt like potential evidence. Jokes stopped being jokes. They became liabilities. Whoopi Goldberg sat rigid as applause faded into a new phrase: legal exposure. Sunny Hostin's confidence cracked the moment the lawsuit hit national headlines. This wasn't a vague claim buried in paperwork. The complaint was precise: episodes, timestamps, direct quotes. Every unsupported statement about Joe Rogan was laid out in black and white. While Joy Behar waved it off with sarcasm, Rogan did the opposite. He didn't posture. He documented transcripts, video clips, archived broadcasts. His legal team made it simple. These weren't opinions. They were framed as facts to a massive audience. And in court, that distinction is everything. Free speech doesn't protect reckless broadcasting once it crosses into defamation. ABC executives scrambled, replaying footage they never imagined would face legal scrutiny. One question hung over every meeting: how did it get this far? Online, Dragon Believer exploded everywhere.
That show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman, and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
Instead of backing down, Joe Rogan leaned in, turning mockery into leverage and ridicule into strategy. Free speech doesn't shield reckless broadcasting once it crosses into defamation, and ABC wasn't prepared. Executives scrambled behind closed doors, rewatching hours of tape with growing panic. What was meant as a throwaway joke became one of the costliest mistakes in daytime TV history. A $100 million lawsuit doesn't whisper, it crashes through an entire industry. Even long-time viewers of The View were caught off guard. Years of smug dismissal suddenly came due. Rogan stayed calm. On his podcast, he played the clips in full, walking through exactly how his words had been twisted. No shouting. No theatrics. Just context. And that was the problem. The footage was public. Millions had already absorbed the implication that Rogan was reckless or unserious. That perception now sat at the center of the case. His attorneys were clear this wasn't disagreement. It was a pattern of accusations presented as fact, and reputations were damaged because of it. Sponsors noticed. Brands hesitated. Inside ABC, containment replaced confidence.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. So when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
The bad information that's going out
Well,
there.
in defense, there are some really
But
good
it's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact-checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels, and I'm served up things that I get outraged about, and then I realize, oh, that's not...
One insider put it bluntly, this was never supposed to lead the show. But it did. And once the lawsuit dropped, there was no reversing course. Joe Rogan's team delivered a line-by-line breakdown showing exactly where The View crossed the line. Supporters rallied. Critics paused. Even people who disliked Rogan asked the same question: had the show finally gone too far? On air, the tension leaked through. Whoopi Goldberg looked distracted. Sunny Hostin clutched her notes. Joy Behar tried humor, but none of it landed. Behind the scenes, panic set in. Don't say his name. Don't reference the joke. Don't make it worse. It didn't matter. Rogan replayed the clip on his podcast, let it run, then stopped it with one quiet question. This is journalism? No rant, no outrage. Just their words, unfiltered. The moment went viral. Millions watched the attack collapse under its own weight. The laughter flipped. People weren't laughing with The View anymore, they were laughing at it.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have...
In court, intent and impact are dissected frame by frame. What had been dismissed as humor was now frozen in transcripts, stripped of laughter, judged only by what was said. Inside ABC, fear spread beyond the lawsuit itself. If this went to trial, every past segment became fair game. Lawyers weren't defending a single episode anymore, they were auditing years of behavior. On camera, the shift was obvious. Language tightened. Confidence gave way to caution. A show built on dominance now sounded rehearsed and restrained. Former guests spoke up, describing a culture that vanished once the cameras shut off: competitive, hostile, unforgiving. That quote spread fast. Advertisers noticed. Ratings slipped. Contracts paused quietly. Viewers resurfaced old clips, pointing out patterns. This wasn't a one-off mistake anymore. It looked systemic. Legal experts warned a trial would be brutal. Authority turned defensive. Confidence drained. Inside the network, executives stopped asking how to spin the story. They asked what else might surface.
A horror.
I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners.
then
He's
what-
got a
what are you
$100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says,
That's fine.
Viewers felt the change immediately. The rhythm was gone. Dominance replaced by hesitation. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan stayed deliberately out of the spotlight. No escalation. No personalization. Just records versus rhetoric. One side scrambling to explain intent. The other standing on documentation. Inside ABC, leadership faced an uncomfortable truth: The View wasn't just controversial anymore. It was a legal liability. Executives at Disney reportedly erupted when a daytime talk show triggered a 9-figure lawsuit involving one of the biggest independent media figures on the planet. Internal directives followed: fast vet segments, avoid references, eliminate anything resembling accusation. Sponsors quietly exited. The tone softened, but it felt forced. Viewers weren't interested in small talk anymore. Accountability was already in the room. Applause thinned. Laughter lagged. Even the studio audience seemed unsure when to react. A show built on confidence now moved like it was waiting for permission to speak.
Why doesn't The View have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them... It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of...
Joe Rogan never framed it as personal. He framed it as facts versus claims. Records versus authority. Every replay sharpened the contrast. Attempts to reset the show fell flat. Once trust erodes, lighter topics don't fix it, they expose avoidance. His podcast surged as he laid out the case plainly. Clips, context, documentation. No press tour, no spin. Commentators across the spectrum weighed in. Some called it a reckoning for legacy media. Others saw a warning: size doesn't equal immunity. When asked about settling, Rogan kept it short. Let's see what the truth brings. That line traveled fast. Inside ABC, conversations turned serious. Reshuffling hosts, structural changes, even questioning whether the format itself had become more risk than reward. Disney wasn't worried about ideology. It was worried about exposure.